we're on yet. Just a second here. Okay, I think we are on. See here, I'm looking at my phone while I'm watching, and it still shows our logo here. But anyways, we'll just get started.
Yeah, it's usually a little behind.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, welcome to Twin Flicks. I'm invited my friend here, Steven, from Off the Shelf Movie Night Reviews. Correct? That's your channel?
Just off the shelf movie night.
Off the Shelf Movie Night. All right, yeah, you can find his channel on YouTube. Same name as Off the Shelf Movie Night. And you can find him on all the socials, same place. We've had you on a couple times on our channel, so I'm happy to have you back. And today we are going live, and we're going to try to do this without messing up too bad. This is only my third live event, and sometimes they go smoothly. Sometimes
So much
they don't.
pressure. It's so much
We'll find
pressure.
out. Yeah, when I see those views come up, I'm like, oh no. Yeah, so what we're going to do here today is best of 4K UHDs of 2022. Now, the trick is we're not going to talk about movies like Top Gun Maverick or The Batman or, something like a Marvel movie. Mainly because those are kind of a given. Of course, they're going to look great in UHD because they're filmed on modern technology, 8K, 4K, 8K, 12K, 20K, you name it, K. And they use all the modern technology, so it's going to look great. So those are easy given that those are going to be great. So instead, we're going to talk about the ones, excuse me, we're going to talk about the ones that have been restored to 4K from the original 35mm negative or even 16mm negative. And because that's really where you see the true 4K benefits and improvements on is movies that are shot photochemically. And so
My only caveat to that is when you look at certain studios. Now, I have a few that I really love this year that are newer movies, but it's because there's certain studios like Disney, for example, that are still mastering a lot of things in 2K. Like, I question the need to even buy anything that has the MCU like Marvel in front of it in 4K because they're mastering in 2K and then just upscaling, and you get that benefit from the HDR, but the upscaling is for me hit and miss. So when a studio does it well, when a major studio does it well, I do like to acknowledge it.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Disney is the worst. They do some really bad transfers. Warner Brothers to me can be really hit and miss. They can do some really good stuff and then just really blow it. Paramount too. Paramount can be one of the best out there, and then they do something like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles that's just awful.
Yeah, and I've noticed. Going back to Marvel, because they render all their effects in 2K, they don't render it in 4K, and so that's why you have to upscale it to 4K instead of a native 4K. And so yeah, I'm with you on the Disney movies, the Marvel movies especially. They just don't look that great. But
yeah, I mean they don't honestly look that great in the theater at this point, but the home media releases are not good.
Yeah. There's some that I just decided not to buy and just watch on Disney Plus. Pirates of the Caribbean, one of the worst 4Ks I've ever seen from Disney, at least. And so I just forego that. But on Disney Plus, it looks great. It looks really good. So
crazy.
It's just weird. But yeah, let's get going. And we're going to switch off back and forth. You have 10, and it was so hard to choose because I went down the list of what actually came out this year. And 4K UHDs alone with older titles, there was about over 60 releases this year. And I was blown away by that because can you remember a time where we had that many releases.
No, it's so funny when people talk about physical media is dying, and I'm looking at everything that's coming out, and it's like these past few years have been some of the best years for physical media in a long time,
Yeah.
since the heyday of DVD. Really, to be honest, so I don't see that. I'm curious.
Yeah.
What is your caveat though? What are your caveats for picking your list? Did you have set any rules for yourself to narrow it down?
I'm looking specifically at three things: audio video presentation and bonus features. Video, I mean, of course, I love the audio, having a home theater, but I think video is one of the more important things to look at because of the black levels. Because there's some black levels that can look grayish. Can be a lot of noise and crushing in the blacks. Vibrancy color without it looking overly saturated. And, I'm sure you agree with this. There's been some out there where they've color corrected it, or they call it color corrected, when really it looked better on the Blu-ray. It looked more natural on the Bluray than it did
Halloween.
on the 4K. Exactly. Yeah, Halloween has that bluish tint in it.
I'm keeping my previous Halloween 4K. I'll leave my cold dead hands because that previous Lionsgate 4K color looks better than the Scream Factory one.
And even though it's not HDR, it still looks great. I mean, really, HDR just enhances things. It doesn't. It's not. It doesn't correct the colors. It just enhances them.
I mean, HDR done well can really make a huge difference, but 4K on its own done really well, I think can make just as much of an impact. So, if not on my list, but still a really great 4K is the Kino Lorber in the Heat of the Night. It's a good 4K and no HDR. I think it probably should have gotten some HDR, but the 4K looks good. It looks good.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. If everything has to be, I mean, it has to be done right. You can't just half-ass things.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, what was your decision on your choosing title?
Similar to yours. Audio video first, but then I'm looking for overall presentation because the way I collect is I think about like book collectors that want the first edition with a leather-bound spine and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, I want it to be like the last time I buy something, if I can. So I want the audio video to be reference quality or as close to it as I can get. Then, like you said, supplements, and then packaging. A really good packaging matters to me. So that plays a part sometimes in the ordering of my top 10 because two movies might look really close as far as their quality, but then the packaging on one is a little better or the supplements is a little better and it pushes it up in the list.
Yeah, going back to packaging like the Arrow, their limited edition box sets. I would much rather have that with all the swag inside and artwork rather than just a single standard case disc.
We might be talking about that more progressing forward.
Let's do it. All right, well, let's dig into it, and we're going to switch back and forth. Now, originally when I talked to you, I said 10, but it was so hard. I cheated and made my list 11. So I guess I'll start with 11, and then you'll go, and then we'll go back and forth with starting with 10. So and I've got it written down here. Just a second here. All right, so my number 11 is Usual Suspects from Kino Lorber. And the reason why I chose that, number one, is because I actually knew a couple friends who worked on the Blu-ray, and they specifically told me that it was done half-assed. The colors were not the way Bryan Singer, Thomas Newton Howard, or Thomas Newton Siegel, the DP, wanted it to look. And skin tones looked really pale. Just you never had any of that pop from the colors. I don't know if you picked this up, but
I haven't gotten it yet. I will be getting it, but it's on my list to buy.
Oh yeah, it's definitely worth it here. Just a second here. I'm trying to look for a screenshot to see if I can just give you a quick glimpse of what it looks like. And I'm not sure if I can. Yeah, so like right there, I don't know if you can see it. The police car is a more
That's significant. Holy
yeah.
cow.
Oh yeah, yeah. The fire has a more orangish, yellowish glow to it, and the fire on the Blu-ray looks pale. The skin tones are much better.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, they did a beautiful job on this. And then going back to where we talked about the supplements, the special features, it includes features that haven't been seen in almost 20 years on this 4K. And yeah, so that was my number 11 choice. So let's dive into number 10.
Raised on Fiction says in my chat over here, he says, great film restorations elevate how happy he is with the release. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
That's what this is all about.
Yeah, I'll tell you, when I first hear about a new 4K being released, as soon as it's announced, I start doing research, or I contact some friends of mine or a couple reps I know in the business, and because my first thought is, well, who did the restoration and who approved it? And a lot of times, if it's not approved by, I mean, it's not every time, but if it's not approved by the director or the DP, sometimes it can not look right at all.
Yeah.
And they just release it. It's not the intended colors, not the intended look. And so that's what I first look at, is who did the restoration and who approved it. And then when it gets closer to the release date, then I look at artwork and things like that. But yeah, so that's 100%. I agree with that. You want to start with your number 10?
Sure, I'm ready. So this was a pretty recent release, and I've watched it. I've watched it all the way through once, and then I've found myself using particular sequences of this movie to show when I have someone ask me about 4K and specific aspects of it, like specular highlights, for example, or the difference in brightness. Mm-hmm. This has become a movie that I'm pulling up quite a lot.
Oh, Poltergeist.
Poltergeist. This Poltergeist 4K is pretty gorgeous, and it has the sticker at the bottom for the flickering lights warning, and it is warranted in this movie because the sequences. Yeah, have you not watched it yet?
I don't own it.
Oh, yeah, okay. So the sequence when you've seen the movie though, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, so the sequences in the second half where they put the rope, into the other dimension or whatever it is, and you see the light flickering around that rope, and then eventually the portal opens up or whatever. It's so bright. It's so beautiful. You might need to get a suntan from watching that sequence. And overall, the colors are gorgeous. It just the movie looks gorgeous all the way through. But those sequences in that second half really do show off the capabilities of the HDR, especially Dolby Vision, because that's the big difference between the HDR10 and Dolby Vision is the levels of brightness, right? And you can really, really, really see it in this movie. And I know we were talking about this as a major studio release, but I have to call it out because, again, we're talking about Paramount here, and when Paramount is doing it, they do it well. And like
Paramount,
you said,
is that Paramount or Warner Brothers? I think it's Warner Brothers, isn't it?
Oh, this might be a Warner Brothers, yeah.
Yeah.
But like you were saying earlier, shot on film, Yeah. And the thing is that chemical method, that real organic method of creating color, there's just so much data there that you have that we're just now being able to see in 4K that it doesn't apply to digitally shot films always.
Yeah,
I love it. I highly recommend.
Totally agree with that. A lot more information in a 4K. So my number 10 is an Arrow release. That is True Romance. I don't know if you have this one or not.
I do have that one. That's such a good release.
Yeah, I got the Steelbook, and going back to what we said earlier, where I like every time they announce, as soon as they announce their releases, they always put out these limited edition box sets. It has posters and lobby cards and booklet. And so, yeah, this is a great one for all the way around presentation, audio, video, and also swag and bonus features. I haven't compared it to the Blu-ray yet, but I'm going to. But I'm hearing that it just looks phenomenal, and more truer to the source material is what I'm hearing.
Well, and this is a Tony Scott film, so there's certain filmmakers, that really lean into the use of color, and Tony Scott is one of those filmmakers. His stuff from the '80s and '90s, him and of course Michael Bay too, but they really love the use of sepia, and the sepia in that movie just is so gorgeous.
Yeah.
The last scene of that movie is so beautiful. I love it so much.
Yeah, Tony Scott puts so many various colors and so much energy into the imagery that I don't think that any home media release ever did justice.
Agree.
To it. And from what I'm hearing, I don't know, I haven't compared it yet, but from my hearing, this completely does justice to it.
So there's a sequence in there, that gunfire sequence where the pillows get busted and there's feathers everywhere.
Yeah.
I think that's a part you should probably look at it when you compare, because there's so much detail on screen there that it looks so nice in 4K.
And Tony Scott also loved to shoot with smoky, hazy rooms.
Yeah.
And from what I'm hearing, this 4K kind of lightens that a little bit, where it's not so heavy, and you're able to see more of the details and textures. But yeah, so True Romance is my number 10 of best of 2022.
Nice.
Move on to number 9.
All right, here we go. So we're going to be staying with a particular studio a little bit, because I want to talk about RoboCop.
Oh, yeah.
So the reason I picked this one, I mean, this box is gorgeous, but the big thing that stands out to me about this one is it had a solid Blu-ray. The Blu-ray was pretty nice, and that Blu-ray was struck from a 4K scan already.
Yeah.
So the fact that they went back and did the 4K, and it's so substantial, the difference is impressive. Have you done a comparison on these?
I did a comparison on RoboCop. It's on my channel, and I was just, because I originally did a review on the original Blu-ray that came out a couple years ago, and it looked great. I gave rave reviews over it with it.
Yeah, it's a very solid Blu-ray.
Yeah, and when I compare it to the 4K, man, it's not night and day difference, but it is a substantial difference in quality.
It's also one of those things too for me when I'm looking at a lot of these in my living room. I have a regular, a Dolby Vision flat screen TV, and it's so weird when I go between that 65-inch TV in there and the 140-inch projector. The things I see different. Like obviously on the TV, the highlights and the brightness levels and all that stuff, because you can't get Dolby Vision on a projector, but I can get it on the TV. I see that in there, but when I bring it back here and I blow that thing up to 140 inches on the screen, the 4K really has an impact. Like just the resolution outside the color, you really do see so much more in like skin tones and freckles on people's faces and stuff. I love it.
Well, there is details. Example, the boardroom scene in the near the beginning. They shot Kenny. That part. I mean, there's so much more detail just in the boardroom alone, and the model of Detroit City. It's so textured and detailed. It just looks great.
Yep.
That's one complaint that I've been seeing on some of my comparison videos is I'll mention that if you're watching this on a smaller TV, 65-inch or smaller, you may not see as much detail and that impact of the 4K as you would on maybe a 70 to 140-inch TV.
And also your viewing distance too. It depends on how close you are and that size of the screen.
Yeah, and so I've had some comments saying, "Well, I can't afford a big screen, so there's no reason to get a 4K." Well, that's just part of the 4K. That's you still get a lot of benefit even on a smaller screen. So yeah, I
Exactly.
mean, RoboCop is a
In
great one.
in the chat room, the Dennis Cinema 4K says that the Atmos on the RoboCop is great also, and that's true. The Atmos mix is really good.
Yeah, they sourced it from the original 4-track audio. So they didn't. Yeah, Warner Bros. Will sometimes they'll completely redo the audio for an Atmos track, and they'll redo the sound effects, and it does not sound good because you're used to that original sound effect, and then when they add in a brand new sound effect, it's like that sounds awful. Arrow with the RoboCop, they sourced it from the original 4-track audio source, so everything sounds the way it should.
Yep.
Dennis Cinema also says The Wild Things is a great transfer. I agree with that too.
It is. It almost made my list. It was so close.
Yeah, same here. I did a video on that too, the Blu-ray 4K, and it's a huge difference.
It really is.
So my number 9, and I know you got this pretty recently. I imported it from the UK last month because I couldn't wait. So my number 9 is Highlander.
Yeah, it was so good. Okay, go.
Oh, what? You didn't like it?
No, I did. It's on my list.
Okay. Yeah. The Highlander.
Let me just go ahead and talk. Let me just grab it.
Yeah, I had a feeling you would put it on your list. First of all, let me maximize my screen here. So first of all, guys, the reason why I bought this box set from the UK is because of all the swag it comes with. I mean, it's pretty.
It's so nice. I should have done it. I should have done it too.
It was expensive. It's about $60, but I kept going back and forth on it. Nice. But it's pretty cool because it comes with these little buttons with quotes from the movie on it. But the best part is it comes with a comic, a prequel comic. So it's just pretty cool. And then you got the lobby cards and all that.
It's so nice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're selling it anymore. But yeah, this was definitely worth it. And let me see here if I can find the right picture here. No, that's not it.
Oh, cool! You got pictures because there's some stuff in here that just pops in this transfer.
Well, and the colors are corrected. I don't know. I mean, you can see it, and the black levels right there. I mean, it's just deep, inky blacks, and the I guess the energy waves or whatever you want to call it. They're not as blown out. They're much more natural.
See, that's the thing that throws some people off sometimes. Like, this is a perfect example of where I have to really sort of talk people through it a little, is because it seems less bright, but what it is less blown out. The Blu-ray is inaccurate. It's taking away some of the detail of the image. Like, you can look, it's taking away some of the detail of the image because it's so hot in places, where the 4K just looks much more accurate.
Yeah, and that's one thing I'll get comments like that from people saying, well, the Blu-ray looks much brighter. Well, it's not brighter. It's, like we said, it's blown out. And it's not, I mean, it looks so much more natural on the 4K. I've got
also more dynamic because you could look at the gradients. Oh my gosh, that just the different gradients of the colors and the skin tones too that you were that picture you were about to show are really impressive.
And talking about
Holy
people,
cow.
Yeah, major difference there.
Holy cow.
So yeah, the 4K does not darken it. As you can see here, this is the Blu-ray compared to the 4K. It's insane. And I mean, it's just, I can go on and on about it.
Look at his skin tone. It looks like a real person.
And the detail on, you really can't see it here, but the detail on his helmet, the skull helmet, is so much more detailed. Like, you can see all the little imperfections and I mean, it just looks amazing. And I mean, the opening title alone, the
Fantastic.
red is, I mean, it's just amazing. And so that number 9.
I knew we were going to cross the streams on some movies. That's not surprising.
Yeah. So what's your number 9?
All right. So my next one is the only one from this particular company, but they did some good stuff this year, but they just got out class most of the time, but I am going with Alligator.
Oh yes, nice.
I love this Alligator 4K
that almost made my list.
from Scream Factory. The thing that's so this is one of those situations where this is a beautiful restoration. There are definitely better looking 4Ks out there, but for me, when you look at this compared to other physical releases that we've had, there's no comparison. This, I was lucky enough a few years ago to see a repertory screening of this movie in the theater on a 35, and this is what it looked like. They nailed the look of what I saw in the theater, and it's straight up beautiful. Now, some of the things that some people might not like are the miniatures that they use in this movie are a lot more apparent in 4K than they were on, say, a DVD. But that just, to me, makes it more...
well, it gives it more charm.
It's more, charm. That's a good word. It's comfort for me. It's like, this is how it looked. It's like if I ever could see the TIE fighters with squares around them again, I would be fine with that. This is absolutely wonderful. There's a lot of stuff that happens in the sewer in this movie, and it's really low lit with a lot of water and smoke happening in there, and you can always see everyone's face. It's like nice. I remember watching it before, and people are just gone sometimes. But this transfer is really solid.
Yeah, like I said, that almost made my list, but not quite. This was a hard list, man. I was going when I mentioned this doing this to you, I was thinking to myself, this is gonna be easy, 10 movies, whatever. And I was going through the movies and the list. I'm like, but this one's good. But this one's good. I love this one. I mean, it was hard. But I totally agree with you with Alligator. And what I love about these two is that the grain structure is intact.
Yep.
You don't have any DNR scrub, and if there is, it's very, very minute where you barely notice it. But yeah, so I love that too. This number 8 on my list is one that you have as well, from Vinegar Syndrome, Thriller. Now,
okay.
You didn't like it?
I did like it. It's on my list.
Oh, okay. When you say it, okay, I thought, that's a bad choice.
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh
no. So Thriller. I mean, first of all, we never had a Blu-ray release of this.
No.
And look at the difference there just with the opening title card. I mean, yeah, this is just insane. And Vinegar Syndrome went back. I mean, look at all. Even on a live stream on the 4K, you can see all the detail in the leaves and the foliage. I mean, it's amazing.
Gorgeous.
And I mean, look at that. That's it's just gorgeous. I popped this in and I watched it, and my jaw was through the floor. I mean, it's just gorgeous transfer. And
I think I saw your comparison video before I actually watched the movie, and it just got me so hyped because I couldn't believe how gorgeous it was going to be, and it did not disappoint.
Yeah, Vinegar Syndrome also, a lot of their movies they don't outsource for their 4K restorations. They do it in-house. And so they went straight to the 16mm negative, and I was talking to somebody, a rep that works there, and he said they spent almost 4 years restoring this movie. And
oh my God.
Getting all the special features, all the bonus content. Yeah, I mean, and this has just 20, 30 hours of supplements.
It's so much, including multiple cuts of the movie.
Yeah. So you get 2 different cuts there, and I talked all about this in my video. So if you guys want to see the difference of the cuts, you can check out the video. But
go and take a look.
Yeah, I mean it's the history of this movie is also really, really fascinating, and they have an interview with the actress Christina Lindberg that talks all about that, and
I love that she's still years later still really proud of the movie, because there's a lot of people that were involved in grindhouse movies in that era that tried to disown them now. But no, she's still really proud of it, which is great.
Well, it's great. And what I love about these these movies is they keep it to the original intended look. It's supposed to look grimy. It's supposed to look dirty. It's not supposed to look, crisp and new. And they just did an excellent job.
And this
So
is
that's
always the point. That's why I reinforce it every time I talk to people, either on my channel or my TikTok, is the point of 4K. The point of good 4K is to use a combination of higher resolution image and HDR to reproduce the cinematic experience, the theatrical experience, the way it was originally released. It's not to like pull some stuff from it that just wasn't there. It's to pull everything to the home video experience that was in the original theater. It's not to do anything but that. The more something looks like it did in the theater, the more accurate it is and the better it is.
exactly. I mean, and this is prime example of this movie. The movie's not for everybody, but it's definitely one. And now it's available as a single disc. I think they only have one cut as a single disc. I think they only have.
It's actually one of the discs in that set, because that's the thing they did with that box set is they put everything in separate boxes. It's one of those two. I think it's.
Yeah, I think
it's the Thriller one. I think. I think
Yeah.
you don't get they call her One Eye Cut.
Yeah.
In
The
the
Thriller
one now.
is the uncut version.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, I went into the history of the difference between the cuts, what the producer did to the movie, and in my video. But yeah, so that's my number 8.
So I'm kind of glad that we talked on this pretty good already because mine was boom. That's where this was going to be right there.
Nice.
So-
Yeah. Beautiful. Just
Moving
beautiful.
on.
So we're on number 7, right? Yeah, 7.
Yeah.
And that is Kino Lorber. First of all, I just want to say I've seen a lot. I've seen a few of these best UHD of 2022, and majority of them stick with just major studios. They don't really go with the boutique studios, which is a real shame because Kino Lorber puts out outstanding restorations, and this is definitely one of them. Did a comparison here. Whoops, that's not it. Did a comparison here of Escape from Alcatraz. I'm always about to say Escape from New York. Escape from Alcatraz. I mean, look how pale the blue is on that bus compared to the 4K.
It's gorgeous.
The skin tones. Clint Eastwood's pale on the Blu-ray. Skin tones on the 4K is much warmer. More
This is on my need
detailed.
to buy list. I haven't bought this one yet.
Oh, it's a beautiful restoration. I mean, look at you can see all the lines in Clint's face. I mean, it's just gorgeous. And then, look at that, the sunset there. I mean,
That's beautiful.
The 4K is how it was supposed to look because I did some research on this, and it was the Blu-ray and I think the DVD too were both brightened up for the Blu-ray release. So again, like we talked about, now this was prepared by Paramount, released by Kino Lorber, but they went back and they stayed true to the original theatrical intent of the movie, and it's gorgeous.
This is the thing. Paramount, when they want to do something on 4K, they really put their passion behind it. They do a good job. My only issue with Kino Lorber is the on again off again HDR use.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
Their Silence of the Lambs looks wonderful, but then what was it? One of the Clint Eastwood westerns doesn't have HDR, and it was one that really could use HDR. Those movies are so vibrant; they need that pop.
Yeah,
so I don't understand that sometimes.
I think it was because I know they released they released 4 Clint Eastwoods, the Man with No Name trilogy, and then they released High Plains Drifter. I believe High Plains Drifter has HDR, but the Man with No Name trilogy doesn't have HDR; it's SDR.
And it's so annoying.
I don't know.
Because those need it. They need that pop.
Yeah. I don't know why they don't do HDR. I'm not sure what the reasoning behind it is.
I think it's straight up. It's expense. I think it's just expense because it adds a layer of cost and time to apply the HDR. I think that's just got to be it.
Yeah. Maybe they figure maybe it won't sell enough to warrant spending the money on it.
I guess.
I don't know. It's weird though.
But when they do it well, they really knock it out of the park. I agree with you.
Oh yeah. So what are we on? 6?
All right.
Let's
Going back to one of our favorite distributors, we got the American Werewolf in London, and this is another.
I was thinking I was going to make my list, but for some reason I was thinking it came out the end of last year, so I didn't put it on the list.
So this is what threw you off about that, and I had to double check my notes on it. They put out a really killer Blu-ray first, and that came out at the end of last year, and it was a great Blu-ray. I remember getting sent a screener for review, and I was, very happy with that Blu-ray. And then they dropped this, and the addition of the resolution and the HDR again just blew this thing out of the water. I would say if you're looking at it, looking for those examples, so much of it's shot at night and in shadow, and you can still see all of the details in those shadows, but the colors on the coats just pop. And then, like you said about the other film, grain structure is really solid in this film. And the other releases felt muted in color compared to this one.
Yeah, and so much more detail, even in the darker spaces. That's another thing that people don't understand is that the darker, it's not a darker image, but the blacks, when they really stay true to the solid inky blacks, it actually draws out more color, draws out more detail than without it. And that's that's like I tell people that's a prime example of how HDR is used.
And a lot of times with the Blu-rays, you get in those darker areas, it's not black anymore; it's gray, and it's got that on some worse ones. I'm just flipping out some of the stuff that's in here because it's such a cool set. You get compression artifacts, and it's not just film grain. And I don't think you have to have that keen of an eye to see it because I'm legally blind and I see it. That's why I recommend people to go and look at your comparison videos all the time, because if you want to know, it's just look at them side by side.
Yeah, and with the comparison videos, of course, it's not the same as you would get on watching actual 4K. But even so, it just shows the improvements. Even on YouTube, where everything's compressed, you can still see the improvements there.
Exactly.
Between the Blu-ray. And
I'm not sure if this box set is still available, but you can obviously get a standard version of the 4K.
Yeah, and I do have a video on that, the Blu-ray versus 4K, and I did compare it to the Arrow Blu-ray to the 4K. Good. Yeah. Sometimes I don't because I think that was sourced from the 4K. The Blu-ray had a 4K scan on it, and sometimes I don't because when I've compared them. When you watch it back on YouTube, the improvements are so minimal that it looks like the same thing.
Well, and it's hard to see it sometimes on a YouTube video because of the compression that's just applied there. Yeah,
so sometimes I forego movies that were already released on Blu-ray with a 4K scan, but that one worked. I mean, that one was terrific. Right. Yeah, beautiful. My number 6, another one from Kino Lorber. Touch of Evil. Beautiful, beautiful. And I'll tell you what, I see on Facebook groups and social media groups, people saying, what's the point in doing 4K with a black and white movie that's, 80, 60 years old? There's no point. It's black and white. The point of 4K is not to just bring out the colors and make vibrant colors. The whole point is to have a cleaner, more pristine picture that harks back to how it was supposed to look. I mean, how it looked in the theater. Give you a theatrical experience in your home. That's what the 4K does.
Well, and even then with black and white, and one of my favorite examples right away is always, again, a Paramount release is It's a Wonderful Life, because that 4K is incredible, and it's because it just because it's not in color doesn't mean there's not gradients between black and white, and there are, and you see them in these those type of releases. You see more of the gradients, the different shades of gray and that kind of thing. Sometimes it can help you differentiate colors that are in the movie that you never were able to differentiate before. Not everything's white, you know?
Yeah, Universal released To Kill a Mockingbird this year. Gorgeous transfer, gorgeous restoration. I mean,
Nice.
I've never seen it look like that before. It didn't make my list, but it's definitely up there. So yeah, definitely my number 6 pick.
Cool. All right. My next pick is, and I know you and I had some different feelings about this, but I just like this one still on the list. The Cloak and Dagger from Vinegar Syndrome. I think when we talked about it, you thought the reds were too hot in this one. Isn't that right?
Yeah. What did you think?
I see what you're saying, and it's not that I disagree with you, because I don't. The reds are pretty hot in this, and the main character, well, you see him in the artwork there. He's wearing a red jacket, so it pops a lot. But again, this is a situation where the last time I saw this was on a DVD, and this is just night and day difference between what we had before and what we have now. So it's not that, again, there are plenty of releases that look better than this one, but I don't know if there are as many releases that had such an uptick in quality from previous versions. Also, this is a little tiny kids movie that was kind of a Me Too kids movie from the 80s. So like, how the heck do we even get this on a premium release to begin with?
As soon as that was announced, I saw that announcement from Vinegar Syndrome. I was in shock. I was like, they're releasing Cloak and Dagger?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Quite possibly the best slipcover of the year, by the way.
Oh, definitely. 100%.
Like, the whole movie's about a video game, and this looks like an 80s Atari game box. I mean, come on. It's
Vinegar
freaking
Syndrome,
gorgeous.
They went all out on that release. I mean, even if there's some colors, some things that are not perfect, you can't expect everything to be perfect. But still, when you have a movie like Cloak and Dagger, where all we had was a really lackluster DVD for years, and before that VHS, I mean, it's absolutely night and day difference, as you said. It's just gorgeous.
And that's it. That's why it's in my list, and that's why it's so high in my list, honestly, is because of the serious uptick from what we had before to what we got now. It's like we went from, tater tots to caviar, really. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, and I had that as it just made my list. I had it as an honorable mention, but because this movie actually took its place. Number 5, another one from Vinegar Syndrome, going back to the grindhouse type movie, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
I love it so much. I love it so much.
Gorgeous transfer. I mean, the restoration job in this, talk about night and day. I've actually, I'm working on a comparison review now. And
good.
Between the Blu-ray and the 4K, it's beyond night and day difference. I mean, it really is just spectacular.
And there were two decent Blu-ray releases compared to the DVDs. Arrow put one out internationally, and I guess it was Scream Factory that put it out here. But the Scream Factory one went out of print and got so expensive.
Yeah, and I think the Scream Factory only got a 2K scan.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's out of print. I mean, I was looking for it online, and it's like $115, $120 now. It's insane.
This is one of those situations where I accidentally double dipped, because I love this movie, and I know it's a divisive movie. Some people like it, some people don't like it because it's so different from the first one. I love it because it's so different from the first one. Yeah. And I wanted it so bad. I was in the mood to watch it last year. So, and I wasn't like you, I wasn't willing to pay that crazy Scream Factory price because it was out of print. So I imported it from Arrow because I had the all region player, and then not 4 months after I imported it, Vinegar Syndrome announces they're going to put the 4K out. I'm like,
that's why.
So now I have a region B that's going to be a little difficult for me to get rid of.
I keep telling people, I'm like, I'm so hesitant on buying Blu-rays now because as soon as I finally hit that button to pick it up to buy it, next week they'll say, "Oh, well, this is coming out in 4K next month." I was like, okay.
It's
I'm
so
like,
difficult to buy anything from Criterion right now.
oh yeah, yeah. There's some Criterion Blu-rays that came out even a year ago, 2 years ago, that I won't buy on Blu-ray because I just know they're going to come out in 4K, and I'm waiting for that because
Yep.
yeah. But the detail level in this is insane. It's off the charts. I mean, when they're in the cave or the caves underground, so much detail, so much. I mean, it just blew me away. Everything that you saw on the walls, on the tables. I mean, it's just insane.
That's something that Toby Hooper did so well was he had a good team always for art design. And that's one thing that I think does carry over from the first TCM to the second one is there's so much happening in his backgrounds. And I'm so happy in this release to be able to see more of it. And probably the reds, like we were talking about the reds being too poppy in Cloak and Dagger a little bit, the reds are significantly better in TCM2, and there's a lot of gore in that movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of red. So
yeah. My first instinct was or hesitation was, how is the beginning going to look? You know, when he's on the bridge, on top of the cars and stuff with a chainsaw. It's at night. It's really dark. How is that? How good of a job are they going to do on this? And
exactly.
It looks amazing. I mean, I don't. I mean, I'm at a loss for words when I think about how great this 4K looks.
So that special edition that you have, you should still be able to get that one, but not till next week because Vinegar Syndrome's site is still closed down from their holiday sales.
Yeah,
it's still partner label month. Yeah.
We have a place here called Movie Trading Company, and they have a lot of like boutique labels, underground kind of stuff. And I didn't buy this from Vinegar Syndrome. I was in there one day looking around and saw this. They had it for $29. On Vinegar Syndrome, it's like what, 35?
Do you have the box? Is that the standard edition or is that the box?
No, it's a standard. Yeah.
All right. So, do you have any images from that one?
I don't. Yeah, I just
all right. Keep talking for a second. Let me get the box.
Oh, cool. Yeah, a lot of times Vinegar Syndrome will release these box sets, and then a couple months later, they'll come out with just the standard editions. So if you can't afford or you miss out on the box sets, you can always wait a few months for the standard editions like this. But yeah, and this is what I liked about it too is that they included only the director's cut. They didn't include the stripped down R-rated cut. They only have the intended cut, which is great.
So this one you can still get, and this artwork. Let me show you the back. I love this because if you know this movie, Dennis Hopper dual wielding chainsaws is a highlight of this movie for me, and it also has the slip, my childhood right there.
Oh, nice.
That reminds me of video stores right there. Because I
the
remember seeing this.
The Breakfast Club poster.
Yeah. And there's a little cool piece of artwork there. But yeah, I contemplated, I honestly should have put that on my list. It's so good. Yeah, and there's again supplements galore here. There's really good stuff.
Well, it includes an hour and I think 30-minute documentary that I think it was shot in early 2000s and it was lost. I thought it was lost, so it never got a release on the previous Blu-rays. And Vinegar Syndrome, they do their work and they included it on here. It hasn't been seen since like the early 2000s. An hour and 30-minute documentary. I mean, that's insane. It's a 3-disc set, so you get the 4K and then two Blu-rays. I mean, it's just, yeah. Anyway, so that's my number. What was it? Number 6. Yeah, beautiful. If you guys can pick that up, that's one definitely you need in your collection.
Wait, so what are we at? Number
5.
Actually, that was number 5. So we're at number 4 now.
Yeah.
All right, don't hate me, but this is kind of a studio release, but it's a movie shot on film, and I just loved this presentation, and it is the Godfather.
I've got that on my list as well.
Oh, do you? Yeah. This packaging here honestly could have gotten it booted from my list in a lot of ways because it's pretty cheap for such a classic. This should be in a nice booklet or something like that. But I do kind of like these little envelopes that they have on the inside. All these movies look good, But I think the highlight is obviously the first one. The first film is the second. Godfather 2 is really good. But for me, the first one is iconic. And there's a lot of things to look at in this one, like shadows, when you can still see detail in the shadows. Like cigarette smoke looks more like cigarette smoke in this one.
Yeah.
Like I can remember in some earlier versions seeing like some digital artifacting in the cigarette smoke, and there's so much of it in this movie. You're gonna like I noticed it. Color palette in this is very unique to these movies, and it just shines in these releases.
Well,
yeah.
I put you on full screen. I forgot to download some images, but I'm going to, so I'm doing that now as we talk. But and I'll show it when I talk about it, because when you look at the Blu-ray compared to the 4K, it is a night and day difference. I mean, it is insane, the difference on there. So I have that higher on my list. Yeah, beautiful, gorgeous. And again, another one that when Paramount puts effort into it, it's a gorgeous restoration.
Paramount just doesn't know how to do packaging.
Oh,
they don't know how to do packaging. This would have been higher on my list if they presented it a little better.
Well, I tell you,
that's the only thing that kept it lower.
I'll show you what I got, and I was a little disappointed by it. But so when I talk about it, I'll show you. But so number 1 and 4, cool. Right? Number 4, I'm cheating here because it's two different movies, but from the same director. So, Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction.
That's cheating, sir.
Get out of here. Yeah, so that's my number 4 picks. Reservoir Dogs, I think I've got some screenshots here, is a night and day difference. Let me see. Whoops, that's not it.
That Reservoir Dogs steelbook is gorgeous.
Let me see if I can find it real quick here. Yeah.
While you're looking for that, I'll be honest with you. I haven't bought those, and there's just a part of me that feels like there will be a Tarantino box set, and so I'm just dragging my feet. And I know I just feel like it's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be. Paramount licensed out a lot of Miramax films, and I'm hearing that next year they're going to have. They're going to do Jackie Brown. That was gorgeous. And hopefully.
Oh, good. I actually think Jackie Brown is underappreciated. I like that movie.
I think it's definitely. I think it's my second favorite Tarantino. I mean, it's his most underrated movie. And so I'm hearing through the grapevine Jackie Brown and maybe Kill Bill 1 and 2. Hopefully.
I need Kill Bill 1 and 2 in a box set.
There's another shot there.
Look at the reds in that shot. That's gorgeous.
Just the detail alone on the brick wall. I mean, it's just outstanding. Yeah. So, yeah, I had to grab them. And the steelbook. I love this steelbook here. Let me do a shot here. So this is a steelbook here. Really nice. Glossy steelbook. So, yeah, that's my number 4. Or fours.
All right, so then my number 3, I'm getting a low battery warning on my headsets. That's why I'm struggling over here. That's cool. So I'm cheating a little bit with my number 3 because I don't have the packaging, but I know how nice it is, and it's because I got sent a screener. And it's just been difficult for me to spend the money because I have this screener, and that is the Flatliners 4K.
Oh, yeah.
And now, I just love this 4K because I always said about Flatliners, what if Dario Argento listened to Madonna? It's Dario Argento on pop music because of the color use that Schumacher does in this movie, and finally this 4K shows it the right way.
Hang on, I've got some images here I'm going to pull over real quick.
Perfect.
Yeah, let's keep talking here.
But obviously the movie's shot in mostly dark. It's almost all at night. So detail in the shadows, again, is another situation where it shines. But skin tones, the challenge sometimes with weirdly lit films is to keep the skin tones looking like skin tones, and this one does it for the most part throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
Scenes that are some of my favorites is there's a Julia Roberts scene where she's in a bathroom, and the thing is just hosed in red, and it's not blown. A lot of times with that kind of red, it starts to blow around the edges, and you lose that detail. But not in this presentation. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, I was blown away by it, and that's another one that I gave high praise of in my comparison review. Just a second here. I'm trying to pull over some screenshots here.
I'm trying to. These gonna work. I don't know if these are gonna work. But yeah, that one. Also, there's a Kiefer Sutherland sequence. Every character gets their own color, and Kiefer Sutherland gets a lot of blue. And again, it's a situation where skin tones still look like skin tones, even in the blue.
One area that I was highly impressed was with the whites. There is a couple shots in Kiefer Sutherland's apartment or flat where it's just he's surrounded by white. That's the color of his
That's
apartment.
that's a good Yeah, it's a good example too. Did you find pictures?
And I'm looking for some good ones here. And it is on the Blu-ray. It had more of a creamy color white to it.
Yeah, keep talking. I got
And
the headset.
on the 4K, it's an actual natural looking bright white. Yeah, excuse me here, guys. I'm just trying to pull some shots here to give you guys a good comparison.
I don't know why my headset is trying to die. I'm sorry. It's like, I don't know what's happening.
This is part of going live. Things happen. I hate dead air, but so be patient,
I know.
guys.
Keep going.
I guess I don't have the shot that I was looking for. Anyways, okay, so I got the images here.
Oh, good. Okay, did you find some?
Yeah, let me pull them over real quick here. I knew there was some I forgot. All right, guys. So this is going to be a really good comparison of what Steve.
Yeah, you did a really good comparison video of this. So I was hoping.
Yeah. So guys, check this out. All right. So this is a night and day difference with Flatliners. I mean, look at that. Kevin Bacon is basically engulfed in shadow and black. You can barely see his clothes, his face. And look at the 4K. You can see he's wearing a jacket. You can see his face, and you have that goldish color in the back as a background instead of a blown out white color. I mean, it's incredible. Another one here is this is what Steven was talking about, where there's a bathroom scene with Julia Roberts and it's bathed in red. I mean, look how dull and lifeless the red colors are. And now with the 4K, they're more solid, natural-looking reds. I mean, it's just incredible.
Yeah, you actually have the scene that I was really focused on. It's just so gorgeous.
Well, and look at the detail of the mirror, of the crack in the mirror. You barely see it on the Blu-ray, and then on the 4K, you clearly see all the little cracks in the mirror. I mean, it's just insane. There's another one. Now, look how washed out the Blu-ray looks compared to the 4K. And then
and look in the darker scenes too, in there, the darker portions of it.
Yeah, exactly. And then the blue color.
Yep, it's actually blue again. This is how it's supposed to look.
And look at the background detail is so much activity in the background now on the 4K. You got all these neon lights compared to the Blu-ray. I mean, it's insane. The opening shot alone blew me away.
Gorgeous.
Title card.
It's gorgeous.
I mean, and you can also see here that it was reframed to the correct aspect ratio.
Yep.
So you can see the sun now when on the Blu-ray you didn't. And I believe Sony released a Blu-ray back in like 2006, 2007. And then Mill Creek,
I can't believe Mill Creek ever had access to this movie.
Oh, it's insane. I mean, Mill Creek, the staple of physical media, Mill Creek.
Right? The Good Times video of the 2000s.
I already showed that one. But yeah, I mean, it just looks incredible. Like what we were talking about, 9-day differences here. That's not it. 9-day differences here with Flatliners.
This movie also sounds really good. They did a very nice sound mix on this movie, but it's the visuals that are just like out of sight on this one.
Yeah, I don't remember. Does it have an Atmos mix?
No, I don't think it's Atmos. I think it's
Yeah,
just
it's
a
just
surround, just a
5.1.
DTS. Yeah.
Yeah. I tell people all the time that if you're going to buy one movie and you're a fan of the movie especially, then that's the one to buy.
Exactly.
Pick up. All right,
Number 3?
Number 3, and it is, for my choice, Star Trek The Motion Picture.
Damn it! It's not on my list, but I want it so bad. I want that set so bad.
I can't. I haven't done a detailed comparison yet, but I'm wanting to because there is so much to talk about this. I mean, they spent. It even says somewhere, I think in one of the supplemental features, that they spent almost 4 or 5 years completely rebuilding this. And the reason being is because when the director's cut first came out, it was remastered in 2001, I believe. And it was all done in SD because at the time all they had was DVD, and that's all they thought about. They didn't think about the future of HD. So they had to, to fully give it a full, true native 4K, they had to go in and rescan all the new special effects, all the new scenes in 4K. And it was a huge undertaking. And it's just gorgeous.
So it's a hot take, and every time I say it, especially over on my TikTok, I get comments. But I think the Star Trek franchise overall is better than the Star Wars franchise. Just saying. That's how I feel.
I always say this. If it depends what you want. If you want action, then Star Wars. If you actually want a real science fiction, dramatic, with action in it, suspense, then Star Trek is it. I'm the same way. My go-to is always Star Trek. Than
well,
Star
I
Wars.
actually say that based off ratio of good to bad in their movies. Like there's 3 really great, really great Star Wars movies, and the rest are not good. Versus Star Trek, there's 4 or 5 really good ones of them all.
Out of the original movies, all but number 5, I think, they're all good except for the Final Frontier. I mean, they're all.
My preferences are 2, 4, and 6. They really are the even ones, but I think those probably are the better of them. And then First Contact is pretty good. That's in the newer set of Trek films, but that one's also
and the first
really pretty.
PG-13 Star Trek.
And then the very last Star Trek with the Chris Pine one, the last one was really good. I liked it a lot. Their knock on Wrath of Khan was not good, but the last one was good.
Oh, Star Trek Beyond? Was it?
Yeah.
Was that it? Yeah. That brought it back more down to how Star Trek originally was with that one. Don't get me started on the whole J.J. Abrams messing with Star Trek thing, because I can rant on that forever.
Oh, I know. But I'm glad to hear that that's a good release, because I'm excited to get that box set. It's on my to buy list.
It's incredible. And it comes with a lot of swag. I'll just show real quick here. So first you've got, let me full screen it. And let me zoom in here. Not too close. There we go.
Look at the slow dramatic zoom.
Yeah. So first you got a introduction or acknowledgement from the late Robert Weiss. And basically he's just going in and acknowledging the fans, thanking the fans that if it wasn't for us fans, this director's edition would never happen. So it's a really nice acknowledgement. So a couple things. It's not like jam-packed with extras, but it's got some nice stuff. So first, there's the artwork there. which I love.
That's
the
cool.
Artwork.
It's very cool.
So first, you got some bumper stickers here, some quotes, which I would never put on my car.
Right.
Stickers, lobby cards that I haven't opened. But this is pretty cool. This is a archive of the motion picture. They go in. It's got production stills. What's really cool, it's got storyboards.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean I love that. Like the storyboards from a movie.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it when they include storyboards like that.
I mean, it's not Arrow quality, but hey, for a big studio, that's pretty darn good to even get that.
Yeah, and then we got a little mini poster, which is pretty cool. Yeah,
Cool.
it's not the best special edition set out there, but you know,
It's cool.
I would
Yeah.
wait though if you're gonna buy it. I wouldn't spend $100 on it.
No, I want to. I just want to get the box set. If I'm gonna drop 100, I want that whole set.
Yeah. I ended out buying all of them outside the box set, the standard cases, just because the standard cases has the original one sheet
Yeah.
artwork. And
I'm tempted to do that too because it's really cool.
Yeah, and also a friend of mine got the box set, and it's in a clamshell, and so you open it up, and the disc can pop out.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's not good. But I hate that with Paramount how they do that.
well, I'm glad to know that before I go and buy it.
Yeah, don't get stay away from the box set. It's
Yeah,
it's not
then
a
I'll
good
just get the
packaging.
individuals. I'll wait for a sale because the individuals do look cool with the original artwork. They do look
Yeah.
cool.
I will say this for people out there watching: Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. I've heard from a lot of people that the image looks way too soft. I did an interview with Nicholas Meyer.
Happy New Year, Dennis. He's got to log out, but he said he'll check us out the rest of the show out later.
Hey, thanks for watching, Dennis. Appreciate it. I guess he said earlier that my audio was cutting out.
Yeah, it was. It was when you were downloading.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So Star Trek 2. Well, I've had a lot of people say that the image looks really soft. I did an interview with Nicholas Meyer a couple years ago, and we talked about that. And he specifically told me that the reason for that image softness, he said, we chose to shoot all the Enterprise crew scenes with the softer lens because of the aging actors.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
they wanted
funny.
to smooth out the skin so they didn't look old. So basically what he was saying in a nutshell. And
That's probably him being nice, and it was probably William Shatner that wanted that.
exactly.
You know?
And vanity.
Yeah.
And so they chose to shoot it with a softer lens. That's why all the Enterprise crews looks like a real soft image compared to the Khan's crew and on the Genesis planet. And so that's why you get the softer look. It's inherited.
All right.
So just keep that in mind when you watch the movie, that it's not a poor transfer, it's an inherited issue. All right, so let's get on with our number 2. Oh, wait, did you do 3?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
That was my
That was
Flatliners,
Flatliners, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay,
So my number 2, we're back to Arrow Video and to Dario Argento. Tenebrae.
Yep.
I have loved all of these Argento releases. Of all of them, probably Deep Red is still my favorite just because I love that movie.
Now,
But
did you get the Deep Red? Did you get the Italian?
I'm buying all of the... Yeah, I did. You talking about the limited art one?
Yeah.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the limited art one on that one and one other, maybe Cat of Nine Tails. But I'm importing all of these because I'm trying to stay consistent with this box. Because Synapse Films has the same release. If you don't want to import, you can get this. It's the same scan and all the same extras from Synapse. And they did a cool box too.
Yeah, that's what I've got here is from Synapse.
Oh, is it in your list also?
It made it as an honorable mention.
Reasonable.
Really debating on that one, but I love the artwork on the Synapse on the back there.
It's gorgeous. It's
Yeah,
gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. And People have asked me, are they the same transfer? And they are. They're the
It's
exact
exactly
same.
the same transfer. It was a deal that was made between these two distributors to do this. It's not new. We've seen this before. I only got this one, like I said, because I started importing the Argento ones from Arrow, and I just wanted to stay consistent on my shelf, so that's why.
Yeah.
Because and with the 4K, it doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about region locking with the 4K. Now, if you want to play the Blu-ray, then you do, but that's not a problem for me either. But inside this box, like this is a Dario Argento film. Now, this is different than Suspiria. This gets back to more of Argento's traditional kind of giallo type of thing, where Suspiria is the movie everybody talks about, and that one really isn't typical of what he does. Suspiria is his art piece, and these are more his trade type of films. And I honestly, as much as I love Suspiria, if you made me choose probably between Suspiria and Deep Red, I would probably still go Deep Red.
Yeah, I was going to say that my Deep Red and Tenebrae is my they're my two favorites of Argento. I mean,
and the color, Argento is someone who Dario Argento has been called the Hitchcock of Italy for good reason, because of the way he frames his shots, and I think it's just his riff on type of a kind of a mystery thriller, but he uses color in ways that like no one does.
Yeah,
no one does color like him, and his movies more than other directors from that era benefit so much from these upgrades, because you get the film accurate color. And again, I've been really lucky to be able to see this and Deep Red and Suspiria in theater on 35 prints at my art house theater. Oh, wow. Yeah, I've seen them all at different points at the theater here in Nashville. So I do have a base to compare to, and this is stunning. It looks like the movie. It looks like the movie should. It looks like what you would see if you were sitting in the theater. Well, so if you wonder,
the ending with the blood spray on the white wall. I mean, it's a bright white wall with deep, almost crimson red splattered on the white wall. I mean, it's gorgeous.
And that's a time right there where the DVD and Blu-ray could falter so easily and just be blown out. But this 4K is gorgeous. Only Argento. I love Fulci. I love other Italian horror directors. But Argento, when he does blood splatter or gore, it looks like a Picasso. It looks like a piece of art.
It's art, yeah.
And it's beautiful in this particular release.
Yeah, it's just gorgeous. When you get the HDR, the Dolby Vision in there. I mean, it's just...
He loves to do close-ups in this too, and when you see close-ups of people's faces, you get the imperfections in their skin and the gradient in their skin and freckles and wrinkles. It all just pops.
All the blemishes, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. All right, so my number 2 is one that I don't know anybody else who has bought this except for myself and our friend Dan, that you guys have seen on this channel. I think we're only 2 that's bought this. And it's from Severin, and that is Out of the Blue.
I'm so curious about that movie.
Dude, the history in this movie is insane. I'll just do a really quick synopsis of what happened. So originally in 1979, a Canadian production company wanted to make a movie, like a movie TV of the week movie about a young girl who has problems of addiction and not a good family life, and it starred Dennis Hopper. Well, halfway through production, the producer saw the dailies and he said, "What is this? This is crap. I don't want, no," and fired the director. And they were going to scrap the entire movie. Dennis Hopper saw that as his opportunity, and he went to the producers and said, "If you want this movie done, I will direct it and I'll rewrite the script." And so he wrote it, and that's how we got Out of the Blue. And it was originally like a PG TV movie of the week. He rewrote the character to a gritty R-rated movie. And it is just phenomenal film.
So is that artwork? Is that representative of kind of how it's colored, the movie?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, it's just artwork. But yeah, this has never been released on physical media before, or any kind of streaming, because what happened is that there were so many different producers, rights went into limbo. Nobody knew who owned what with the rights to the film, and it just got lost. And so didn't get a physical release, didn't get a streaming release. So nobody's seen this movie since it ran in theaters. I think they only showed it in theaters in Canada, and I think they only showed it at the Cannes Film Festival. But I was reading reviews about it. Roger Ebert says this is one of his. He was blown away by the movie. It was one of his favorite movies of the early '80s.
And I need to get it.
I mean, again, it's not exploitation, but it's definitely a low budget, gritty indie movie. And I'll just say this: it does not have a happy ending, but
Yeah.
it is.
So I'm taking it by your placing it, your placement of it in the list that this 4K is pretty stunning.
It is, but this is I put it at number 2 because of these reasons. The restoration work is incredible. It's just fantastic, beautiful, and also the supplement material. There's like 80 to 100 hours of supplement material.
Oh my God!
Like 3 or 4 different audio commentaries. They did a huge screening in LA when they did the restoration work, and it's like a 40-minute Q&A. I mean, it's 3 discs, and each disc is just loaded with bonus features. And
all right, I need to get it.
I was way wrong. 15 hours of bonus features. So 15 hours of bonus features.
Jeez, that's still a lot for a movie that no one's seen since it was in the theater.
Yeah, and actress who spearheaded this was 2 actresses. Chloe, I can never pronounce the last name. Chloe
Sevigny?
Sevigny, yeah.
Yeah.
Chloe Sevigny and there was another actress. Natasha Lyonne. They spearheaded this. They spearheaded this to get restored in 4K and to get it out in physical media. So all types of reasons why I chose this number 2. The background of the film, that these 2 actresses poured everything they had into getting this off the ground and restoring it, releasing it, releasing it, and adding 3 discs full of special features.
That's
the
amazing.
Audio video presentation. I mean, yeah, this is a must-have. And
I need to get it even if I didn't like the movie. Often I'll buy stuff just as someone who's a student of film. I'll buy particular releases for the bonus features, and this sounds like something I should just blind buy.
Oh yeah, this is one of those movies. Have you ever had one of those movies where it's like nobody's seen, but you know how good the movie is, and you want to just like ring people in and say, "You gotta watch this movie. Watch this." This is one of them where I'm like telling everybody, "You have to watch this movie," and nobody's heard of it, so they won't watch it. And I'm just like, "You're missing." It's not the best film out there, but it is. It's good. It's definitely a must-have.
I remember when the word first came out about that movie, and I was tempted to just blind buy it when it was first announced, based off a little bit of the story that you mentioned. But this is the situation that we've had this year, where there have been so many cool releases, and my wallet only handles so much. There's been so much good stuff. There's so much. I still have to order this Roadhouse box set from Vinegar Syndrome also.
Yeah, I didn't get that either.
I haven't gotten it yet, but I will be getting it in January as soon as they relaunch their site, because I need it.
Yeah, I tell you, like I said at the top of this video, I mean, I counted over 60 4K releases, and those are just what was restored from the original negative. It's not counting new releases. I mean, and yeah, I mean, it's a great time because you're having all this physical media being released by all these boutique companies, but at the same time, blessing and a curse.
Yep.
Everything is coming. Yeah,
It's so much money.
And yeah, so I pick and choose. I'm starting to pick and choose. Well, what am I going to watch, and what am I not going to watch? It's just going to sit there and be dust collectors, unless it's something like this, like Out of the Blue or Tenebrae, where you have to have in your collection. I
try my very best, and I've done this since I had to reboot my collection. I started online, started doing all of this YouTube stuff because a majority of my collection got stolen while my house was being built. And I thought, this would be a good way to just sort of go through that rebuying process and getting everything back. And on this leg of my collecting life, I'm trying to be selective and just buy things I know I'm going to watch. It's difficult, though. It is difficult.
And we only have so much space.
We only have so much space. Yes.
I know a guy, a friend of mine, he's actually rented out a storage unit to store his movies in. And I'm like, well, you're paying $30 a month for storage when his movies are just sitting there. You're never going to watch them.
Yeah, if I can't see them and watch them and pull it off the shelf and enjoy it, then I don't really need it in my collection.
Yeah, I'm with you, 100%.
So before I get to my number one, I do feel like that we should, and I know you mentioned this one already, but I do want to reference this movie and acknowledge the quality of it because we don't get them like this that often. And this is not my number one, but Top Gun Maverick. And the reason that I mention it is I just recently watched this. And I'm just so thankful that they did something in this movie. And I know it's because Tom Cruise is such an old school film guy that this happened, is we got the IMAX scenes in this 4K release.
Yeah, the aspect ratio.
Yeah, it swaps aspect ratio. And to me, it's so vital to this movie because those sequences were framed for that aspect ratio. They don't look the same if you don't get that. And, Disney, my nemesis, has set a trend for not putting those IMAX sequences out in all their movies. So it's a beautiful 4K, and it's like you said, we knew it would be. Movie was shot in 6K, some of it shot in 8K, I think, but I know a good portion of it shot in 6K, mastered in 4. So of course it's going to be gorgeous. All that stuff. The Atmos mix is stunning, by the way. But I just have to throw a word out because I'm just so happy that we actually got. I don't remember the last time I got IMAX sequences. You know, the Nolan movies that I have. Yeah. All of the Nolan movies have, like I have the Nolan box set. They have their IMAX sequences in place.
But too.
Yeah. But I think he's the only one. Like now the Top Gun. How weird is that?
Well, I'm thinking it has to do with how much pull these directors or Tom Cruise's actor has to get that done. I mean, they'll do whatever Chris Nolan wants.
Yeah, and apparently Tom Cruise also. Oh, by the way, on that, have you watched any of the bonus features on that Maverick release?
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
I love this. There's an interview with Tom Cruise in there from the Cannes Film Festival premiere, and someone asked him about the pressure that was put on him to put the movie out streaming during pandemic, and his response was that was never going to happen. I love that so much. I love it so much.
They were going to. I remember them announcing it.
They were trying it. He was a producer on it, so he was invested, so he had say, and that kept it from happening.
And what's nice about Tom Cruise too is it wasn't just about the money for him. He knew he had something special and had to be seen in the theater. Had to have that theater experience. Otherwise, streaming on Paramount Plus would not nearly
do it justice.
Not at all. And I mean, for those watching, just to be clear, I have nothing against studio releases. I mean, the Batman 4K is stunning. I mean, it's fantastic.
Hot take on that one. I don't really like that movie that much. I think it's a 3-act movie with 4 acts.
Yeah, I mean, there's things I like about it. There's things I don't like about it. I have heard, like you said, that it's a beautiful 4K.
Oh,
it's gorgeous.
But only in a chat with people like me and you would the number one 4K of the year be that.
Thriller.
Thriller. This is my number one 4K, and it's my number one 4K release of the year for a few reasons. One, like we talked about, the trip from what we originally had on DVD of this to this 4K is stunning. And there was a battle that happened with this too, because I originally saw this on DVD a lot of years ago from a company called Elite Disc. And that company eventually became Synapse Films, and they've hoarded the rights to this movie for so long, and they finally, once this was happening, dropped a Blu-ray. And I didn't know if we were actually going to get this because of that battle, but we did. And not only do we get this beautiful 4K, but we get both cuts of it, because Thriller was the international title, and that was the international cut. And then we had The Color One Eye, which was what was released here in the United States. And it's so cool that we have both releases and a ton of extras. And like you said in your comparison, it's absolutely stunning. Now, it is a grindhouse movie. There is a good bit of violence. There's some
A good bit.
Yeah, there's a good bit.
That's understating it.
There's SA, I'll just say it that way, in this movie a lot. But if you're watching these movies in the same way that someone like Quentin Tarantino watches them, and you watch them for the film history and you appreciate what they were doing, the social and political commentary that this movie has, it's relevant to the era and where the movie was made. So I'm not trying to say this is some deep academic thing. It's not. But that's one of the great things about Grindhouse, though, is it was a lot of times it was two things. It was, one, they knew if they could get nudity and violence in a movie, they would make money. And two, this is how people raged. You know, that like if you watch blaxploitation movies of the 70s, there was rage. And that's where a lot of that kind of got vomited out, is in these kind of movies. So don't look at it for some intellectual study, but also don't underappreciate what is there.
You're not going to get Taxi Driver or Godfather from that movie.
You are not going to get Taxi Driver or Godfather from it. No, it is a garbage movie, but it is a fun garbage movie.
Well,
and it's a beautiful release.
What's great about these grindhouse movies too is that they inspired so many different directors, not just Tarantino, but so many different directors that we see today, and they take so much inspiration from those movies, like Thriller. Other movies like Blue Underground releases some terrific grindhouse movies, and so many directors still steal or borrow from those from those grindhouse movies. And,
I mean, you think of a movie like Saw, for example. There would be no Saw without Evil Dead Trap.
Yeah. Exactly.
And they own that. The filmmakers own that. They're like, listen, we riffed on this movie. So it's kind of fun as someone who loves film history and just likes old movies to have those movies and be able to watch them. It's really fun. That's my number one, and that's why.
Just before we get into my number one, just a real quick insight for those watching with Thriller. The original Thriller cut that was in the UK includes a whole montage of it's just straight out hardcore porn.
Pretty much, yes.
And I remember I watched an old interview with the director, and he said that wasn't his decision, that he never had the hardcore porn in the movie, but it was the producer, because one of the producers was an executive or worked with Penthouse. It was producing it. And so they saw the cut, and he said, "We need sex, we need nudity, otherwise no one's going to see it." Exactly. So begrudgingly, the director put it in there, but he did not originally want it in there.
And the pornographic scenes, they're cut and shot so tight as to try and cover up the fact that it's not the actors that are in those scenes. Yeah. I mean, literally, they are super gratuitous.
We get the money. We get a money shot.
Which is not something you get too often, even in grindhouse movies. I don't think is something that I've seen. But all of that is in there, and I think it's fascinating to hear that, because that story is actually in the bonus features on that set.
Oh, okay.
So it's fascinating to look at to look at the commentaries and stuff and actually see where that came from. And there is a cut of the movie, obviously, that doesn't have those sequences in there if you want to be able to watch it and especially in mixed company, maybe that's not a movie you want to be putting in.
It's not a movie you want to bring home to mom.
Exactly. But let me tell you, it's a beautiful 4K.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into my number one. Drum roll. And I'm going to full screen this one here to show you
Do it.
the version I got. So,
Oh, I know what you're pulling up now. I know
The
what this-
Godfather.
Oh my goodness. Look at that
And
set.
before I get into it, I want to just open this up real quick here. And I wanted this so bad because of what it came with, but yet I was also kind of disappointed with the packaging. And I'll show you why. First of all, this is embossed. Gold
Yeah, it looks
lettering
beautiful.
embossed. It's gorgeous. You open it up. If I can open it up. You get. I love that black matte finish.
This was a really expensive set, though, wasn't it?
120. So
I mean, I guess it's not that bad for all the movies.
so and then so you get pictures. I mean, look at that of Marlon Brando.
Nice.
I mean, that is so cool. So you get it's like basically like a table, like a coffee table book.
Coffee table book, yeah.
Yeah. And then on the back you have the discs, and that's what I don't like about this packaging of discs.
Ugh.
They
Are they
will
stacked
fall-
in there?
They're not stacked.
Oh, okay, I see.
But they're hard to get out. It doesn't have an indentation for your, for you to take it out. It's just a flat surface. So when you're taking it out, you're getting fingerprints all over it,
Oh, that sucks.
and
Yeah.
and they can easily fall out of their slot. I had Godfather 1. I opened it and where I carried it like this, and it fell out.
Oh my
And I was
God.
like, no. That's the only
Paramount
Godfather-
just can't quite get it with their packaging.
Yeah, their packaging is not that great. But that's the only gripe I have about this. But this is the main reason why I got this set. And this is gorgeous.
Still beautiful movies. Beautiful transfers. I was lucky. My version, the basic version, I got for $70
Oh, nice.
on a sale.
So
Very
you get this
nice.
artwork looks like an oil painting that's upside down.
Oh yeah, these are beautiful.
I mean, look, I love it.
Yeah.
And I think they've got this same artwork for the steel books that are out now.
And see, it's funny when you talk to people who aren't physical media collectors. They're like, I've had people ask me like, well, why do you need all that extra stuff in there? But if it's a movie that I've seen many times and I'm popping it in just for what I would call a light watch, where I'm just kind of watching it while I do other things, I enjoy being able to flip through these books and get little anecdotes or look at other artwork or whatever while I'm kind of taking the movie in. I think it's a different, like an added value experience on multiple viewings of a movie.
Oh, 100%. Another thing I don't like about it is there's no title on the spine there. I like it when the title's on the spine.
So you can pick it from the shelf, yeah.
Yeah, if you put it like that, well, what is this? I don't know.
Exactly.
So I actually have it with other box sets. I kind of have them facing like that. Cool setup. But the best way to show you why I picked it is for some screenshots here.
Nice.
Because no longer do we have that gold tone that the Blu-rays were plagued with.
Yeah, I feel
at
like they mistook sepia for gold. Look at that.
Yeah. I mean, night and day difference there.
Yep.
And
It's beautiful.
I mean, look how he's engulfed in the shadows in the black. You can barely see him on 4K.
And he looks orange.
Yeah. Oops, that's not it. And this is Godfather Part 2.
Still very beautiful. And yeah, what's with this sort of pinky look on the Blu-ray? It's so weird the decisions they made.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, the only thing I think of is they wanted to give it like a classic old film look, I guess. I don't know. Sometimes it's not as heavy as that, as other scenes aren't as heavy as that. But still, I mean, it's just a night, like right there. When he's in
this is a
Italy.
beautiful example. Yeah.
And I think that they used that tone, sepia, pinkish tone, to kind of evoke the different, that this is Italy, I guess.
And
I
it's
don't
so
know.
weird because the movie does have quite a bit of sepia in it, but they took a little bit of sepia and turned it completely orange, which is just so weird.
Yeah, and some areas look pink, Some areas look orange, some areas look gold. It's just really odd. But this is my number one of 2022.
And this is a perfect example of what you were saying earlier that was director supervised.
Yeah. Yeah, Coppola, he single-handedly supervised the entire restoration. And the reason he did that is because they fouled up on the previous 2 Blu-ray releases. And he's like, for the 50th anniversary, we're going to do this right. And him and his, I think his DP was involved too, they went in there and they didn't just approve it, they supervised the restoration.
And it shows. It's such a stunning set.
Yeah, and it's great the Paramount allowed them to do that. And the audio quality, they redid the audio. It's 5 point. I don't think it's Atmos. I think it's still 5.1. But they sourced it.
I don't remember seeing any Atmos on there.
Yeah, but they sourced it from the original audio source, and so it's the best representation you have from watching the theater at home. And that's it. Marked my number one for 2022.
It's a reasonable choice. Literally, in both of our lists, I feel like almost anything could have been number one because these are all such good 4Ks.
Yeah, I mean, I asked you this, I think, at the beginning of the week, and I spent all week going back and forth between, well, what's number one? What's number one? But then I gauged it by thinking to myself, well, if somebody came to me and asked me, I only have enough money to buy one movie this year, what would you recommend? And my go-to answer was Godfather.
Okay, so mine, I didn't think that because I don't really recommend this to most people.
Well, that's how I gauge number one.
I think the way I gauge number one was what was the one movie this year that shocked me in its presentation the most. Well, and not just shocked me in the, like, because I'd seen this movie before, but shocked me in how good something could look.
Yeah.
And for taken from it's one thing to take a 4K to strike a 4K from a 35, because a 35 millimeter print should deliver you up to 8K resolution. But when you're talking about pulling from a 16, okay, then this is some really real work that happened.
When we were talking about earlier, how I've had a lot of people say, why are they bothering releasing or restoring a movie that's in black and white? What's the point? I've had the same people say that about 16 millimeter. And number one, I think you have to see it to really believe it. But there is so much benefit. I mean, 16 millimeter, I believe, was Texas Chainsaw 2 and 16?
I don't know.
I can't
I'm
remember.
not sure.
But anyways, I mean, this is an honorable mention. Death Wish 2. Gorgeous, gorgeous transfer.
I got to get it.
This was shot on 16 millimeter. And this is another, I think, thriller, this, and a couple of prime example of why even 16 millimeter needs a 4K restoration. The colors really pop on this.
Well, if I'm reading it properly, I know that 35 millimeter maxes out visually at 8K. So at 16, we should be able to pull a 4K, which probably means that this is the highest quality that this is ever going to be. But you know what? That's fine. It's good enough.
Hey, it's great. It's beautiful.
It's wonderful.
Did you have any honorable mentions?
Okay, so honorable mentions. Well, I think Top Gun technically was an honorable mention. And I only wanted to shout out. So Lionsgate has been killing it with their artwork releases this year.
Oh yeah.
For 4Ks, and I wanted to shout out this one because.
Oh yep, I got that one too.
So much work. I mean, these are good 4Ks. They're fine, but by saying fine, it doesn't mean they're bad. They're good 4Ks. They're just not to the level of the others here. But when you take the overall package and the fact that they went to the investment of finding a handful of dedicated, specifically female artists to do all the artwork on all of these releases and put that much love into it, I think is really special. And this is for that. Good 4Ks, amazing package, and decent extras.
What I love about that artwork, though, on the steelbooks is if you put them together, side by side, they form the symbol.
Yep.
And it's beautiful, beautiful artwork.
It's so much thought that went into it. Yeah.
Lionsgate killed it with their artwork. they're real hit and miss on 4K though.
Yeah, it depends. It really I feel like they're kind of like Scream Factory, where they have an A team, a B team, and a C team, and it just depends on the
Probably.
movie which team you get working on that 4K.
My honorable mention here, I got a couple here that I can run through, but this one is a really, really controversial release, especially when it was first released. And I got screenshots here.
Why you got to be so edgy? I already know what it's going to be. I already know.
I don't, maybe. And I'm curious to hear what you have to say about it, because you have 140-inch screen and a projector, so I'm curious to hear what you say about this. So let's see if you're right. Heat.
So I knew that was what it was going to be, and I'm the only person that you probably are dealing with in physical media right now that has the hottest take. Where I think this, like, I love Michael Mann, but I think this movie sucks. So I have not bought it. I don't like this movie. I think it's an hour too long, and I think for all the hype, there's one scene with the two main guys. I'm like, no. I
Really?
have never liked this movie. And I love Michael Mann. Like, I love Collateral. I love Manhunter, but
All right, we got to boot you out of here. See ya.
I knew it. No. I knew it. I knew it.
No. I saw this in the theater when it came out, 95, and it's never looked right on DVD. Laserdisc. It didn't even look right on Laserdisc. Laserdisc, DVD, Blu-ray never looked right. The biggest thing that people complain about is for some reason saying that the image is so dark. I've literally had people message me saying the image is so dark I can't see anything. And I'm thinking, really, the image is so dark you can't see anything? So it looks like that. I don't get it. And so I did a comparison between the previous Blu-ray, there was a 4K scan as well, to this 4K. And you tell me, does the 4K look dark? You can't even see it?
No, it looks gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. The whites are
I think it's not as epic of a difference as a lot of others, but it definitely looks really good. I think the detail levels are much higher.
And I'm not saying it's not dark, but it's just like very, very slightly darker than the Blu-ray. And you have to understand too that a lot of times when Blu-ray or DVD came out, the studios brighten up the image because what did we have back then? CRT TVs. We didn't have 4K TVs, so they brightened up the image and changed some of the colors so it popped on the CRT TV.
Yep.
Now they don't have to do that. They can go back to the original look. And I mean, there's another screenshot there. I mean, to me, the Blu-ray looks darker than the 4K.
Agreed.
And this is another one, like Godfather, where Coppola went in and personally supervised the restoration. Michael Mann did too. And he said it's a dark movie where a lot of it takes place at night or under dark scenes. So, of course, it's going to be darker. But the Blu-ray had a lot of grayish blacks. And so I don't understand where this came from.
I thought, from what I've seen of it, I thought it looked fine. I didn't understand. This feels like another. You remember when Game of Thrones was on and they had that one episode that was too dark? Well, it's funny because I watched that episode on the channel live. It looked fine to me. People that were complaining that it was too dark were people that, one, had not calibrated their TV, which you shouldn't have to do that, but it's the nature of it. And also people that were choosing to watch it streaming. And I looked at the stream and it was compressed all the hell. So it looked dark, but if you looked at the actual episode, it looked fine. And maybe this is something similar. I don't know, because that looks fine to me.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, talking about Game of Thrones, I did an interview with the DP on that episode, Fabian Wagner, and you can watch it on the channel. But he goes in and talks about that, and he said, "No, it's not dark. We didn't dim the camera down. We didn't make it dark. It is shot at night, so it's going to be a dark image because it's shot at night, and we want it to be as realistic as possible because there's no light sources, in Game of Thrones, and they achieved it." But
there are Starbucks cups.
True, right? But yeah, I mean, I'm just at a loss for words of why people say that Heat is too dark.
I really wanted to have a voice in that discussion, but since I didn't buy the 4K, I was like, I'll just be quiet.
Well, I tell
Because
you,
it looked fine to me.
on my comparison video, I kind of ripped into those saying it.
I remember.
Yeah, and I actually re-edited it because I was a little too hard, and somebody called me out on this and on it and messaged me and was like, "Dude, you know, you don't have to call me a dumbass just because because I thought it was dark." Well, I don't know who you are, and I was upset because it didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It made no sense why this is happening.
Well, we have a situation where negativity gets more clicks, and sometimes I feel like that plays a part into some things.
Could be, yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I don't, you know, you've watched my channel. I don't go on rants.
Yeah.
So when I do a rant, it's for something that makes no sense, and I don't understand why people are talking about it.
Yeah.
Did you have any other honorable mentions? Because I just got
Nope.
a few here.
Just those two. Just Top Gun and the Hunger Games set.
Oh, okay. I'm just going to go through this real quick.
Sure.
Untouchables is one. It's honorable mention.
Nice.
Gorgeous restoration. Sword and Sorcerer. Do you have that one?
I don't. And actually, I'm kind of on a De Palma tear right now, so I need to get that Untouchables.
Oh,
and Sword and Sorcerer is my childhood, so I'll definitely be getting that one at some point.
The whole restoration in this is just, I mean, the colors, it's gorgeous. Gorgeous. Another one, I got Pistilles here. Lost Boys. It's just, I don't have Poltergeist, but I hear it's on par with Poltergeist.
Yeah, it is. I made myself choose between the Lost Boys and Poltergeist. I wasn't going to do them both. I'm like, they're both gorgeous. Let me just pick one. And I already had Schumacher represented in my list, so that's how I picked, because they're both right there. One's as good as the other.
What really blew me away is when I compare it to the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray looked, here's a screenshot here. Look at that. The Blu-ray looked red, had like a red filter over it, where the trees weren't green.
Mm-hmm.
And look how hot the red is.
Yeah, it's odd. It's really weird.
It's a very odd decision. And then you got the black levels here. I don't know if you can see it clearly, but the black levels look real light, not gray, but it looks,
you can see it some. It's a little hard with the YouTube or the StreamYard compression, but
yeah. So I mean, this is a highly recommended. I'm gonna do one more here, and then two more. I gotta do two more.
Let's see. Let's see.
Oh,
my OLED put itself to sleep while playing this 4K, so yeah, it gets real dark. That's someone commenting on Heat.
I don't understand. I don't know. I'm not gonna get into it because
don't get fired up. You're gonna get fired up.
Yeah, I mean you clearly, maybe you don't have your TV calibrated right, because
it could be. Yeah, it could be.
There's an obvious. Hold on here. I was going to bring up the screenshot again. There's an obvious difference here. I mean, this is being shown on YouTube, which is compressed with what I'm using for this live stream. How is that too dark? I don't understand it.
Yeah, they don't look that much different to me. I mean, it's slight.
And again, you're legally blind.
Yeah.
So if you can see it,
everybody's got to be able to see it. Everybody who can see has got to be able to see it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. It's weird how that particular movie just had that situation.
Yeah, I don't get it. But don't get me started, because I'll yeah. Last two honorable mentions here.
Right,
I cannot go without talking about the Funhouse.
Oh man, I almost put that on my list. It was so dang close. I love that movie. I love it so much.
Here. Look at the difference here. The creature is pale, no life.
Mm-hmm.
4K is warmer. Oops, that's not it. Look at that shot there.
Look at the red.
Yeah, I mean, it's just almost 9-day difference. I mean, it's a great transfer.
And
And
this is
then,
surprisingly a movie that people don't think about as being shot well, but you know what? It's shot beautifully. There's a lot of anamorphic lens use in there. The
yep.
exteriors of the carnival are gorgeous. The
Oh
opening
yeah.
the opening shots of that carnival are just beautiful. I love it so much.
And when they're inside the funhouse, the whole they use the whole frame. The whole frame
Hmm.
is used. There's details, and you never got the all the details on the Blu-ray. I never saw
No.
on DVD, but the Blu-ray where a lot of the details were engulfed and hidden in the shadows, not anymore.
Yep.
And you can see everything, all the details. Last one here, and then we'll get going. Criterion's Malcolm X.
Yep. I bought it. I haven't watched it yet.
Here's some stills of that here.
Yeah, I just haven't gotten around to watching it.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a time commitment. It's a long one.
it's almost 4 hours long.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you can see the difference there immediately with the fire and the
Holy cow.
and then now some people say the 4K looks darker because than the Blu-ray. Again, you got to understand where they're coming from with the 4K. They didn't purposely darken it.
It's a little more dynamic, so it brings a lot of the darker parts of the movie back into it. It's not like if you look at his jacket there, I think some aspects of that jacket are kind of washed out looking because it's brightened.
See,
Whereas if
exactly.
you look at the actual jacket there, you still get the detail. It's still all there, but it's the correct color.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing is it may just some people look like they darkened it, but they didn't really. They've corrected the colors where
Yep.
like you said, it brings out the color of his jacket and the background. But yeah, so those are just a few honorable mentions here.
There was a lot
Before
of
we
good stuff this year.
Oh yeah, and next year I think is going to be even more. I mean,
Agreed.
is there anything you're looking forward to next year?
I don't know yet. I don't know yet. I haven't really looked beyond this year, other than just a lot of rumors and stuff. But if this year's any indication, then next year's going to be crazy.
Well, there's a couple confirmations that I have of next year that I'm real excited about.
Yep.
Training Day comes out January. I think it's
Oh, did we get that confirmed?
Yeah, I think it's the second or third Tuesday of January. I don't remember the exact date, but I'm thinking January 15th, but I'm not sure.
Who is putting that out?
January 17th is when it comes out. Warner Brothers.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're also doing Seven.
7 is one that's needed a 4K for so
Desperately.
long. That
Desperately.
movie is so dark. Done well, we should really be able to see that like
Yeah,
we
I'm
haven't
not-
seen it since it was in the theater.
There's no confirmed date on it yet, but from what I'm hearing, it may come out the same time as Training Day.
And you want to know a weird one talking about 7 that I really hope actually finally comes out this year? It's supposed to have come out or comes out in 2023. It was supposed to come out this year and it just kept getting delayed is Panic Room. I love that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess Fincher didn't approve on the transfer, and so
Yeah.
they went back. So that's the delay. Is that they had to go back to the
Good for him.
transfer. Rocky, I'm sure we all know that Rocky.
The Steelbooks 1 through 4 have already been shown. If you see on I think it's Dawn of the Discs had pictures.
Yeah.
I'm holding out for a box set because I know it's coming.
Well, it's weird because everything I'm seeing from it, and Bill Hunt from Digital Bits, he said the same thing. Only 1 through 4 are being promoted, advertised.
Yeah.
So did they not bother with 5 and 6? I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's interesting. Is this going to be a situation like Star Trek, where they put a box set out of the first 4,
Oh yeah.
and then they go back and do another box set? Because I held off. Like that Star Trek box set killed me when the first 4 came out, because I kept thinking to myself, but I love 6.
Yeah.
Let me just wait and see. And thank God I did, because then the next year they came out with that. I wonder if that's what's going to happen with Rocky.
I don't know. I mean, 5 isn't good, but I would still like to have all the
To be a
movies together.
completist, yeah, I'd want them all.
Now, and I'm sure you've heard of this too, but it has been confirmed, but no actual confirmation of a date yet. But they're saying early March. The Abyss.
They keep saying that. We'll see.
I have a friend that worked on the restoration of The Abyss.
Okay.
And he said that it's been done for 2 years now, and they've been waiting on Cameron to come in and approve the transfer. Apparently, he did it late last year, is what he told me. So, or I'm sorry, early this year, is what he told me. But now they're saying it's going to come out early March.
I'm going to be curious on that one because there's a lot of digital effects in that movie, and I don't know how they have upgraded them.
Yeah, I know. And some people were saying, well, do you think it'll be the director's cut? Well, Cameron's not going to release it without the director's cut, because that's.
I would hope it's both.
Yeah. I mean, Cameron considers The Abyss his baby, and he's not going to. I mean, they're not going to half-ass. He's not going to allow them to half-ass it.
I'm a little scared of Cameron touching his own stuff, though, because he kind of George Lucas's things a little too much. I mean, we're already getting Titanic is coming back to theaters next year in HFR.
HFR, yeah.
Yeah, and I hated the HFR on Avatar. I hated it.
Well, yeah, and then did you see it in 3D?
I did. I still hated it.
Yeah, because he said, there's no point in HFR with 2D because it just looks like cardboard cutouts on the moving,
Still did.
with the moving background. I haven't seen it yet. I'm actually seeing it tomorrow, so I'm curious to see. But, we've been hearing about The Abyss for how long now?
Years. Almost as long as we've been hearing about True Lies.
Yeah. Titanic, if I was bet money on it, I would say Titanic is the one that's going to come out before The Abyss does.
I would bet that too, because we know the theatrical reissue is coming. It just makes sense to put them all out together.
Yeah, it'd be great if they did The Abyss with a theatrical run.
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
Would love to see it. Supposedly these are The Abyss, Titanic, Avatar are all supposed to come out at the same time as the physical release of Avatar 2. And they're saying early March. So we'll see. And then another confirmation that I got was Once Upon a Time in the West.
Okay.
There's others, but there's no confirmation, so I'm not going to announce it.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So
all right.
I think 2023 is going to be even bigger than 2022 is.
Going to be well. You know what I'm happy about? I'm happy that for once I'm actually happy that we're not getting something. I'm happy that we finally got a confirmation from Scream Factory that there's no way that they're ever doing a Nightmare on Elm Street set.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and what happened is on the Scream Factory podcast, they answered that question finally, and what they had said was they did approach was it New Line that has the franchise? Is it them? Yeah. They approached them about it, but they said New Line responded to them that it was still what they considered a current running franchise. So it wasn't like something they weren't currently working on, so that they weren't willing to license it out.
Huh.
Which means, usually would mean they're working on another movie. And they've probably been working on another movie for 10 years.
And they probably want to hold off on releasing until that movie's released to promote off of the new movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about that. And it sucks though, because the Blu-ray release of that box set is awful.
Yeah, it's not very good. I was really curious about that. Well, we're going to end it now. A little bit longer than I thought it would be, but
it usually does when we get on here talking about movies, though.
Yeah, especially physical media. Guys, keep an eye out because I'm working on a couple different 4K Blu-ray comparison reviews. I'm working on True Romance, The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Death Wish 2. So,
speaking of that, you said that coming next year. I am excited for that. TCM, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4K.
Yes,
that may be my most anticipated 4K, and that's already out for pre-order. I think that comes out February 22nd, something like that.
Somewhere in that. But did you hear Second Sight is releasing their version too?
That's why I haven't pre-ordered from Dark Sky, because I think Second Sights will be better.
I do too. Dark Sky owns it, but I think because second sight is doing their own restoration. I think they're going to do a better job because of that. So I'm holding off on the plus. You're going to get a box set with that.
You're gonna get that hard box with a book and probably killer extras. Yeah, so I'm waiting to see what their stuff is gonna look like.
Yeah, same. And Kino Lorber's releasing Death Wish end of January also.
Yep,
So
and I'm going to pick that up because I've been on this weird want to start collecting some Charles Bronson movies. So that might be...
I'm wondering if they're ever going to do Death Wish 3 in 4K, because I'm holding off on buying that Blu-ray because of that. But
is that Ronin Flicks or somebody that has Death Wish 3? Yeah. Well, it's probably still... Ronin Flicks is pretty good. It's probably an okay Blu-ray.
Oh, yeah,
though.
it's got great reviews. So
yeah.
I don't know. But anyways, guys, check out, if you get guys watching on Steven's channel, if you haven't yet, check out my channel because I have a playlist of 4K versus Blu-ray comparison reviews. And unlike some other people that I've kind of found out about that actually illegally download them and then they put screenshots so it looks compressed or it doesn't look accurate. No. Or they mess with saturation and brightness on their editing software to make it to imitation HDR. Unlike that, I spent money for the technology and the software to rip the 4K and the Intel processor that reproduces or encodes the HDR. So that's the difference there. So you have a true comparison between the Blu-ray and the 4K and HDR. So if you guys want to check that out, it's a playlist. It's just called 4K Blu-ray Reviews. Anyways, man, thanks so much for coming on here. It was a lot of fun talking about physical media.
Absolutely, always.
Of the past year. I'll have you on again, definitely. And you guys out there, thanks so much for watching. And remember, keep physical media alive. We'll see you next time.